Although this video is titled Master All Areas of Your Life, I'm not sure if that's entirely possible. I mean, I understand getting to a certain range or level, but can you truly master all areas of your life? Now, I've caveated this by basically understanding and saying that I believe in the law of averages, and I also believe in rate limiting steps. What do I mean by that? Well, with the law of averages, if you do something enough times, then you're likely going to increase your average or performance over time. If you think about the rate limiting step, and I remember this back in my chemistry days, effectively, this is the chemical reaction or step that is really sort of like the turnkey or the whole sort of reaction is dependent on. So in essence, what I'm saying is it's the tipping point. It's the thing that will create the most movement. It's the thing that is the 20 or the 80-20 principle. And so understanding this, although you may want to include or improve all areas of your life, there may be a few things that you want to focus on. And so thinking about this, it's really important to understand what you're trying to master. What does mastery actually mean to you? Why are you trying to master this particular thing or things or all areas of your life? How does it make you feel? What does it actually mean for you as an individual? And so in order for you to do this, it feels like it makes sense to have some sort of strategy or some sort of approach or some sort of framework to enable you to do this effectively. Now, for me personally, I like to draw on things such as Maslow's hierarchy of needs as a way of understanding how I can improve the deficiency needs and the growth needs. And again, if you want to check out a video on that, then feel free to check out this video. There's also the Wheel of Life. So the Wheel of Life is a fantastic tool, and there are so many different variations of that. And again, it can give you inspiration in terms of what different life areas you may want to improve. There is also something a bit more basic, and it doesn't have a name necessarily, but you may decide what different areas you think are of most importance. So this may be, for example, health or growth or career/portfolio or relationships. Okay, so those are four key areas. So let's say, for example, you decided to use the Wheel of Life because that's a standard example. Again, what you want to really do is understand how satisfied do you feel in that specific area of your life. And you may want to do it for all areas. Let's just say you do it for all areas. And let's just say there are 6 or 7 different areas that may exist for you personally in your life. So you may rate your money 5 out of 10, or you may rate your health 6 out of 10, etc., etc. Okay, so you can do this out of 10. So there is some level of understanding of what 10 may look like later on. So once you've decided your number based on satisfaction, then you want to understand why you feel this way. It may be because you feel like you haven't put enough effort into your business. It may be because you haven't had enough clarity in terms of how you can actually lose weight. It may be because something hasn't happened yet in order for you to move to the next step. It may even be the fact that you may not have enough clarity. Whatever it may be, define what that reason is for why you gave, that life area that number. And then what you want to do is look at the different life areas that you've chosen and pick no more than 3 areas that you want to focus on moving forward, at least for the next 90 days. Why do I say this? Why do I say 3? Well, it doesn't really matter what number it is, but let's just say having fewer numbers or fewer things to focus on is better. Most people choose 3 because it's just the number that people choose, okay? Whether that's scientifically proven or not, all I'm saying is the lower the number, the better. So if you want to go all in with your business, then go all in. But realize that if you do that, there are certain things that are going to be sacrificed. There are certain things that are going to be hurt. So you have to understand why you're giving it this order of priority. The other thing I'd say is that I'm choosing a number out of 10 because it gives you enough idea in terms of mentally thinking what you need to do to get to a 10. Because once you've chosen no more than 3, you then need to look at what 10 looks like for you. Okay, so really describe this, really try to paint a picture. I think this is known as wisdom in hindsight when it comes to, the coaching world. So think about, what a 10 looks like, why it looks like this, how does it feel, who's around you, etc., etc. That gives you a clear idea. And so once you've painted that picture, you then want to be able to get to a point of working backwards. Okay, so how do I get from, let's say for example, 5 out of 10 for health to 10 out of 10, or at least close to it as possible? This is where you start to define your sort of like key objectives. Now this may be influenced by doing a bit of research around what has been done to date, what success looks like, what failure looks like as well, and then working out what the key sort of like objective themes are. So again, no more than, let's say 5 or 6 themes in terms of objectives, so you are clear. Okay, so you are clear. So as you do this, you'll start to realize that, you know, there are different types of goals that exist. So it may be a open looped sort of like goal, which basically means it's linear, it has a start and it has an end, or it's a closed loop sort of like goal where it's more habit focused or based, or it requires a system to be developed, it's never ending, etc, etc. So that differentiation is going to be really important because there is a different level of mindset that's required for each one. You know, with the sort of linear style sort of open loop goal, it's much more programmatic, it's more of a waterfall methodology, you could be more project based, etc, etc, if you wanted to be at least. And with the more sort of like closed loop goal, then you're going to have to be a bit more systematic by nature. It may require more work, and there's going to be a certain level of feedback that feeds back into the loop as well. And so that requires a certain level of commitment in terms of habits, progression, etc, etc. So think about those things as well. So once you've got your objectives and you understand what type of goal it is, you then want to be able to get into a point where you can break down these specific sort of like goals into tasks. So what I would do is, again, sticking to a 90-day sort of like goal, is break it down into a monthly, weekly, and if you want to, a daily level of task management. You can use, let's say for example, something like a bullet journal, or you could use Notion or other forms of like productivity apps or devices to help you do this. Okay, so there's loads of things out there that can enable you to be more effective. And so what this does, it creates a rhythm for you. Okay, it gives you an idea. Now, as you sort of like review your time in your week, let's say on a weekly basis or potentially a monthly basis, you can make tweaks. But you'll notice that with these tweaks and with these measurements and with these reviews and reflections, you'll get to a point of understanding if you're making improvements from that 5 out of 10 and moving closer to a 10 out of 10. So as I quite rightly stated, you know, there are certain key habits that you need to understand that you need to adopt, and there are certain key metrics that you need to have a measure of. You also need to have an understanding of what can help you make this plan a reality. We don't want to just develop a plan, we want to make it a reality. So we need to think about, you know, different things such as space, so your environment, cash, so what money is required, helpers or people that can effectively get you to do what you need to do, equipment, okay? So what sort of equipment do you need? Materials are required as well. In addition, what expertise and systems are required to help you? This acronym is known as schemes, by the way. It helps you when it comes to planning. And so understanding that gives you a bulletproof mindset or an understanding in terms of what is required to be effective. And after that, it's really about maintenance. It's really about how can you create the right sort of environment? How can you utilize other people? How can you use these basic tools and systems to keep you on track? You've already used something like the Wheel of Life as an example to define what sort of areas you want to focus on. Now it's about maintaining that so you don't get to a place where you're like, oh my gosh, things are not working for me, etc, etc. So hopefully this has given you a sense of authentic clarity so you can understand how you can move forward. Again, if you want to make sure this is a reality for you, make sure you click the link in my description to enter this free webinar that I have that really explains this in a bit more detail and understanding why this is important for you to establish this year. Okay, really important stuff. Now, if you like videos like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And as always, my friends, understand, reach, and expand. Peace.